What's up, guys? Joe R, Vintage Pokemon, and today we're going to take a look at some fake as hell Pokemon cards. That way you can know the difference between the real deal and the fake deal. So stick around as we take a look at what makes one of these Dratinis fake as hell. What's going on, guys? I'm sure that everybody at some point in their collecting career has come across this. They see a card that just doesn't seem quite right. And as luck would have it, I have also had this experience. As a matter of fact, it's kind of strange how common it can actually be. 1999 was huge for Pokemon, so it's only natural that there were some scammers that came out of the woodwork. So a lot of times, I'll be digging through old collections and I will find some Pokemon cards that just end up being fake. Anything from first edition to modern has had this problem. So I actually want to go over with you guys a few things to look out for when you're trying to determine if a Pokemon card is real or fake, as well as how sometimes people can think a card is fake when it's actually a real card. So I actually have a couple base set shadowless cards that I want to take a look at today that are actually very, very fake, and I want to compare them to their real versions. And up first, we have a Dratini from base set, and there are a total of 5 different things you could do to determine if your card is real or fake. So first off, I want to show you guys these 2 cards up close and personal, and we'll see if you can make any heads or tails of if the card is fake or real. So let's start with the one on the left. We're going to bring this guy up close, take a good look, flip him around, put him back. I'll take a look at the one on the right now. Flip him around. Okay. So now, the card that is real is the Pokemon card on the right-hand side. This is the real shadowless Pokemon card, and we're going to talk about why that is. So there are 5 things that you can look for specifically, and if I've missed any, please make sure to throw a comment down below, but these are the big 5 that I look out for. The first off is color. When you look at these 2 cards, if you've seen the real card before, or at least you know what the real card looks like, then you will be able to distinguish a card by color. So when I look at this particular card here, I see that this card is a completely different shade than the card that we have here on the right. The coloring is just a little bit off. It's all darker, and you can see even here, it's a different shade of white. It almost seems like this is almost like a little bit lighter than this one, but then this is a little bit darker than this one. So it just looks very off. Now, I do actually want to give a little bit of an asterisk to the color test, because there are Pokemon cards out there that do have slightly different colors, and that doesn't mean that they are fake in any way, shape, or form. So before we continue, I want to actually stress the importance of making sure that other aspects of the card are fake before you decide to, toss it aside. I actually have an example for you guys here. These are 2 real copies of base set 2 Pikachu. These are both from base set 2. So they are the same card from the same set, identical in every way. But when you look at the backs of these 2 cards, you actually will notice something. The backs of these 2 cards are slightly different colors than each other. The one on the left is a lighter blue color, and the one on the right is a darker blue color around the borders. You can actually see it pretty clearly on camera too, which is pretty interesting. Now, both of these cards, I can guarantee you, are 100% real. And I've seen this before where people post questions or concerns about the validity of their card because it seems to be a different shade. Wizards of the Coast was not perfect at printing their cards. So if you have slightly different shades, it could just be from the printing process, or it could simply be the result of a little bit of sun fading. It doesn't make the card any less real. So I just want to make that very clear, that you should look for things besides just color when trying to determine if your card is fake or not. So we're going to put those back off to the side. The second thing that you guys are going to want to look for is the font on your cards. So this Dratini on the left is a very different font from the one on the right. We can bring those up close and you can see pound is a lot thinner, and that's very common on fake cards, is that the font is just very, very off. And this one's very easy to tell because pound should be a lot more bold. And even the name, Dratini, at the top, you can see here, it's a lot skinnier than the one on the right. So that is another aspect of this card that makes us determine that it is indeed fake. The third thing is that it should be about feel. I can't tell you how many times I'm going through collections really, really fast. I'm just shuffling through them, and literally I touch a card and I can feel that something is off with it. When I feel this Dratini card, I can tell that it is a very different kind of texture. This kind of goes with the fourth thing that we're going to talk about, which is also that it is a very glossy look to it. So it feels off, it doesn't bend the same, and the fourth characteristic that we look for is that it is also very glossy. And you can see that here, you can see that it's shining. It's not a matte finish, it's a very glossy finish on this Pokemon card. And it bends a lot more differently than a real card would. We take this card and it definitely doesn't bend as much. You can take a look again, take this card. I can literally do this to the card. I get to the matte finish card, and I cannot do that without damaging the card. That's about as far as it will go, or as far as I want to go with it. And it's got a matte finish to it, not a glossy finish. So far, all four things that we look for are hitting it with this fake card right here. The color's off, the font is off, the feel is off, it's glossy. Now, one more asterisk for glossy cards. There are such things as cards that are supposed to be glossy. However, they only really exist in the Japanese collections. For instance, there is the English glossy Mew card that's from a Gata magazine in Japan, or the vending series promos in Japan. So there are some cards, although I will say it's very limited, that should actually be glossy. Normally, if you've got a glossy card, it's a big red flag. And the fifth thing that we can look for on these Pokemon cards is the rip test. Now, this is the nuclear option. You don't want to do the rip test on a card that you think might be real, so I'm not going to do that on this one. But if we take our Dratini, what we're going to do is we're going to tear it in half. And if there is a black core, and that is something that is inside all real Wizards of the Coast Pokemon cards, if there is a black core to it, that means it is a real Pokemon card. And so we're going to take this card, rip it in half, and would you look at that, there is no black core to that Pokemon card. Now, for anybody that is concerned about what that means, what is a black core, it is basically an inner layer of ink that should be on the inside of the Pokemon card. And I'll actually rip a real card over here. I've got a whole stack of energies. So this is a real Fire Energy Pokemon card from, I think this might be base set. I'm not 100% sure because I'm not looking at it very closely, but look at that. You can see a huge difference there. The Fire Energy has that very easy to tell and distinguish black core, whereas Dratini, it just don't. So, Dratini, you fake as hell. Get out of here. You are the real deal, my sir. You may go home to your binder. Now, I've got one more that I want you guys to check a look at. Get rid of that. I'm going to shuffle these up. Boop, 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 boop. There we go. Let's try this one more time. This is just another one that I happened to find while going through some collections. We have here Super Energy Removal. And both these cards are shadowless Super Energy Removals. I'm not going to go into detail as to why they are shadowless specifically, but we are going to do the tests to see if they are fake or not. So, first thing first, color. Very clear that there is a slight difference in color between these two Super Energy Removals. The one on the left seems to be a lighter color. The one on the right, a bit darker. Second thing we're going to take a look at is font. Let's bring these up close. I feel like font is actually a little bit closer this time than it was previously. It's not super obvious that one is very different from the other. And this is one that I actually almost passed over. I kind of like just caught it because of a couple other little things we're going to get to in a second, besides the color. I think the color was the first thing that actually tricked me up on it. The feel of these two cards. So again, let's take a look at this one first. Okay, this one does not bend much at all. Let's come over to this one. Ooh, you know, this one doesn't bend too much either. Maybe it bends a little bit more, but it's not super bad. Let's go to glossy. We'll take a look. Okay. Okay. And the last one would be the rip test. But before we do that, which one do you think is the fake card? And I'll tell you why I think the card that's fake is the one. So 3, 2, 1, it's this guy. This guy's got to be the fake card because when we look at that font again, and it wasn't too bad, but it is a little bit blurry. I'm actually looking at the art this time as well as the words. The words are a little bit blurry. You can tell it's not as fine. It's almost like it's a poor scan of it. Now, I will say this one is definitely a little bit harder to tell apart than the other one. The color is way off, but I think a lot of other things are actually pretty close on it. So we're going to take this one, rip it in half, and you look at that, no black core. So super energy removal, you fake as hell. Get out of here. Guys, I hope you enjoyed this video today, and hopefully you don't get caught with your pants down on your Pokemon cards. You know what's real, you know what's fake, and you know what to do when you find one. Give it a old rip a rip. We'll see you all next time. Bye, guys.